The police officer George stops a car for a routine traffic violation, but he has no idea that the woman behind the wheel, Sarah Smith, is about to profoundly impact his life. Officer George Flinton was on duty on an apparently uneventful Saturday evening. The sun was just starting to descend, casting elongated shadows over the tranquil suburban streets. As he drove through the neighborhood, his gaze scanned the road ahead for any signs of trouble. Suddenly, he noticed a silver sedan. Traveling slightly above the speed limit, his instincts kicked in and he activated his flashing lights to indicate the driver to pull over. As the vehicle came to a halt by the side of the road, George unfastened his seatbelt and exited his patrol car. He adjusted his uniform and straightened his cap, readying himself for the routine traffic stop. Approaching the vehicle, his well-trained eyes observed the details. The car appeared spotless and well-kept, with a minor indentation on the passenger side. Upon reaching the driver's side window, George was greeted by the profile of a woman in her mid-30s. Her eyes were striking blue, and her dark hair was neatly tied back in a simple ponytail. A sense of nervousness radiated from her as she rolled down the window, and George detected a hint of vulnerability in her demeanor. "Good evening, ma'am," George stated, projecting a steady and authoritative voice. "I'm Officer Flinton. Are you aware of the reason for the traffic stop?" Sarah Smith, the woman, hesitated before responding, her eyes darting between George and the road ahead. I believe I may have been exceeding the speed limit. I apologize, officer. I wasn't paying attention." While taking her license and registration, George noticed her hands trembling slightly. He wondered if there was a deeper story behind her behavior, but he reminded himself to remain focused on the task at hand. "Please remain here while I verify your information," he instructed, returning to his patrol car. While awaiting the system to process Sarah's information, George couldn't help but sense a peculiar connection with her. There was something about her eyes, the way they carried an underlying sorrow without words. He dismissed the notion, reminding himself that he was simply fulfilling his duty. Upon his return to Sarah's vehicle, he handed her a written warning for the speeding offense. Gazing into her eyes once more, he felt a longing to delve deeper into her story, to comprehend the anguish he perceived. However, he suppressed the sentiment and bid her a pleasant evening as he watched her drive away. As George made his way back to his patrol car, he couldn't shake off the notion that his encounter with Sarah Smith was anything but ordinary. Instinctively, he felt that their paths would cross again, and this seemingly coincidental encounter was just the beginning of a larger story. Little did he know the profound transformation that awaited him. George Flinton grew up in a tight-knit community, where knowing your neighbors was the norm. Inspired by his respected father, a revered law enforcement officer, George was motivated to follow in his footsteps and serve his community. With distinction, he graduated from the police academy and eagerly joined the force, determined to make a difference. However, the reality of the job proved more emotionally challenging than he had anticipated. The constant stream of tragedies and heartbreak weighed heavily on him, blurring the line between his professional duties and personal life. George's world was further shattered when his father tragically passed away from a sudden heart attack. This plunged him into deep grief and burdened him with the immense responsibility of upholding his family's revered legacy, especially regarding an unsolved case. The mysterious disappearance of a young girl named Emily had profoundly affected George. He poured all his passion and dedication into the investigation, but the leads vanished, leaving him haunted by a sense of defeat. The image of Emily's radiant smile remained etched in his memory, a painful reminder of his own limitations. Over time, the emotional toll of his profession strained his personal relationships. Despite a previous marriage, his unwavering commitment to the police force and his internal struggle with darkness led to the dissolution of the union. George lived a solitary life, with few truly understanding the challenges he faced. He had mastered the art of building emotional walls to shield himself from overwhelming pain. Devoting himself to his career, he prioritized making a difference, even at the cost of his own well-being. However, the encounter with Sarah Smith had stirred something deep within him. A part of him longed for connection, understanding, and healing the wounds of the past. Sitting in his patrol car, watching the sunset, George pondered if their meeting held a purpose, if their union could unlock the elusive contentment he had sought for so long. Sarah Smith had always been a reserved person. Growing up under the care of a resilient single mother who worked tirelessly to provide for their family, Sarah internalized the importance of independence and persistence. As an adult, she flourished as a graphic designer and appeared to have it all, masking her hidden struggles. However, Sarah battled her own inner demons. The tragic loss of her younger brother George in a car accident haunted her. Overwhelmed with guilt, she blamed herself for not being the supportive sister she believed she should have been, convinced she could have prevented the accident if she had been there on that fateful day. Seeking solace in her work and intentionally avoiding close connections, Sarah grappled with her pain. Despite therapy, the ache remained relentless. Serendipitously crossing paths with Officer George on her way to visit her late brother's grave, Sarah's restlessness stemmed from confronting her remorse and sorrow. As they parted, an indescribable feeling lingered, hinting at something extraordinary about the empathetic officer. Sarah held on to the hope that their paths would cross again. A few days after their unexpected meeting, George found himself holding Sarah's contact details, his finger hesitating over the call button on his phone. Curiosity and the unexplainable bond they had formed urged him to press dial and reach out. To his surprise, Sarah answered, her voice a mix of astonishment and delight. As they talked, they discovered shared experiences beyond their emotional burdens. They delved into conversations about their passions, favorite books, and the small joys that brighten their lives. By the end of the call, both eagerly agreed to meet for coffee, driven by a shared desire to explore the connection that seemed to unite them. Meeting at a cozy cafe, their connection was effortless, like kindred spirits reuniting after years apart. Amid the scent of freshly brewed coffee, they delved into the complexities of their lives. Sharing their dreams, fears, and defining moments, George felt truly understood, a rare sensation after so long. It was as if Sarah had an extraordinary ability to see past his emotional barriers and into the depths of his heart. Similarly, Sarah found comfort in their heartfelt conversations. George's unique empathy eased her pain, allowing her to unburden herself to someone who genuinely cared. In his presence, her guilt and grief seemed to fade, granting her solace and a chance to breathe freely. As time slipped away effortlessly, parting became a difficult task, for they both recognized the rarity and preciousness of their newfound connection. With bashful smiles and eager agreement to meet again, hope and anticipation filled their hearts. In the following days, George and Sarah's bond thrived, growing deeper with each conversation and stolen moment, forging an unbreakable link between them. Drawn together as if guided by an inexplicable force, they pondered if destiny had intervened in their serendipitous encounter. As they prepared for the next phase of their relationship, standing at the edge of a transformative journey, an evening stroll along a serene riverside trail presented an opportunity for George to confide in Sarah. Bathed in the gentle twilight's glow, he bared his soul, sharing the pain of his father's passing and the weight he carried to honor his family's law enforcement legacy. Sarah's attentive listening conveyed her deep compassion, evident in her gaze and the gentle touch of her hand on his arm. However, it was when George shared the story of Emily, the young girl whose disappearance still haunted his thoughts, that his voice trembled with emotion. Tears threatened to escape, teetering on the edge. He opened up to Sarah about his relentless quest for answers, his sleepless nights spent poring over case files, and the burden of guilt for failing to bring her home. Sarah clasped his hand firmly, offering solace and unwavering understanding as he vulnerably bared his soul. In the course of his narrative, George felt a profound sense of liberation, as if unburdening himself to Sarah had alleviated the long-held anguish he carried. In that moment of vulnerability, their bond intensified, and both George and Sarah recognized the irreplaceable solace and love they had discovered in one another. Seated on a park bench, the cool evening breeze dancing through the foliage, they found themselves enveloped in a sanctuary of trust. It was now Sarah's turn to unveil her hidden truth. She drew in a deep breath, mustering the courage to recount the story of her younger brother, George, and the tragic accident that had tragically snatched him away. As tears welled in her eyes, she confessed to the overwhelming burden of guilt she carried, convinced that she could have averted the calamity had she been present. Sarah's voice quivered as she laid bare her struggles, describing the self-imposed isolation she had embraced, a desperate attempt to evade the clutches of grief. As George absorbed Sarah's words, his heart swelled with empathy, and he instinctively reached out to grasp her hand, reciprocating the solace she had so generously extended to him. In that tender moment, with their fingers intertwined, they apprehended that their connection surpassed the realm of happenstance. Sitting there, united by their entwined hands, they comprehended the profoundness of their union, a fusion of shared grief, burdensome guilt, and the weight of their personal histories. This union was a potent force, offering both strength and restoration. In the depths of their gazes, brimming with compassion and mutual comprehension, George and Sarah recognized the extraordinary nature of what they had discovered within one another. Within the realm of their shared anguish, solace awaited, and within their vulnerability, a wellspring of strength unfurled. United, George and Sarah vowed to confront their pasts head-on, embarking on an arduous odyssey of healing and forgiveness. Their intertwined hands offered unwavering support as they traversed the winding path together, sharing their tribulations and triumphs, finding solace in their unwavering bond. Through therapeutic endeavors, heartfelt dialogues, and the unwavering confrontation of their personal demons, they gradually released the shackles of guilt and anguish that had plagued them for far too long. With each stride forward, their collective fortitude grew, allowing them to grant themselves forgiveness and embrace the gift of a second chance bestowed upon them. Enveloped in their newfound love and mutual understanding, George and Sarah beheld the transformative power of redemption, and their gaze extended toward the horizon, where the promise of a brighter future gleamed with unwavering hope. As George and Sarah embarked on their unforeseen voyage of healing and self-discovery, they discovered solace in the embrace of each other's presence and unwavering support. Their connection transcended boundaries, evolving into an abundant wellspring of fortitude and mutual comprehension as their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Amidst shared laughter, tears, and countless intimate conversations, they laid the groundwork for a relationship built on trust and profound affection. Together, they confronted life's hurdles, firmly united even in their most vulnerable moments, offering unwavering support and understanding to one another. Within the sanctuary of their love, they found hope shining like a guiding light and an enduring source of solace, propelling them towards a future that surpassed their wildest dreams. After months of nurturing their connection, George and Sarah found themselves at a pivotal crossroads, faced with a life-altering decision. George received an enticing promotion that would necessitate relocating to another city. Determined to confront the uncertainties together, they dedicated countless hours to deep discussions, exploring the potential ramifications on their envisioned future. With unwavering resolve and unwavering love, they made a resolute choice to embrace the forthcoming change, recognizing that their connection had the power to surmount any challenge. This pivotal decision became a transformative milestone in their shared journey, infused with hope and an unyielding devotion. George and Sarah, forever altered by the serendipitous encounter that ignited their love, embraced their newfound connection and set forth on a path to a new chapter in their lives. As they readied themselves for the unknown adventures and trials that awaited, they drew solace from the unbreakable bond they had forged. Guided by love, trust, and a mutual commitment to healing, they fearlessly embraced the future, hand in hand, fully aware of the extraordinary treasure they had discovered in each other. Together, they embarked on a voyage of self-discovery, forgiveness, and personal growth, fueled by the profound love that had blossomed from an unexpected meeting during an ordinary traffic stop.